Yeah, make a quick little video on what to look out for with your G35 if you're just purchasing one for the first time. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and hop in it. Just make sure that the windows go up and down. These regulators go out all the time, and sometimes it's sunroof motors too. So go ahead and make sure all that works. Next thing you want to do is fire it up. Even on a cold start, it should fire up just first try. So that's exactly how it should sound. If these two lights are on the dash, people always disable traction control on these. So that's nothing to be worried about, but just note that. So if those two lights are on, someone probably disabled traction control, so the car would be more fun to drive. Watch out for this light right here. If that light is on, that's the check engine light. So make sure you know what it is if it's on. If you buy a manual version of one of these, make sure that the clutch has no noise with the clutch out. It's really common for these transmissions to have clutch noise, bearing noise with the clutch out. And you will feel it if you put your hand on the shifter. You'll feel it kind of rattle, rattle, rattle. So push the clutch in, make sure there's no noise with the clutch in, the transmission. Same with the clutch out. You shouldn't hear any bearing noise whatsoever. Make sure you shift through all the gears. Third gear usually grinds a lot in these. Make sure this grind free. 05 up had a better transmission. 04 had an improved transmission, and 03 especially had a weak transmission. So if you buy an 03, definitely check to make sure there's no grinds in your gears. Alright, so pop the hood. Check to make sure your car has brakes. Well, it obviously has brakes, but if it has Brembo brakes, I think 03, 04 manuals had Brembo brakes. They're worth like $500, so just keep that in mind. So if someone has a 03, 04, they could have swapped them for different ones and sold the Brembos, so it's nice to have those. 05, 06 had better calipers than 03, 04 automatics, but they're not Brembos. The Brembos are stronger brakes. So when you pop the hood, you want to check here to make sure your coolant is at the proper level in your overflow. If it's not, that could indicate cooling system issues or a cooling system that wasn't serviced properly. The radiator is most likely replaced due to the age, so as the thermostat down here. So you can peep those two things. Another thing you want to check for is to make sure your engine oil leaks aren't present. It's hard to, look and stuff, but you can look for the basic signs. So this here's aftermarket RTV. It means this valve cover has been replaced. If you look here, you can see that there's aftermarket RTV along the rear timing cover. The rear timing cover has been off this engine. And here, this is the seam of the front to the rear timing cover. And that's aftermarket RTV. That's been off too. Same as, So just look to check to make sure the RTV is aftermarket RTV. That means it's been serviced. Because at this age, if these components haven't been off the motor, they probably are leaking. Oh, my bad, I need to put this bolt through this bracket. But yeah, just look to make sure that the previous owner didn't do sloppy stuff like this. Make sure all the bolts are where they should be. Battery tie down should be on it. If not, that's an indication of a really sloppy mechanic. Yeah, I think I said, but if you look, it says glass fiber composite. That means it's an original core support. These core supports tend to crack very easily when they're hit. So usually if it has been hit, even lightly, you'll see that this has been replaced with the aftermarket. That won't say this. And then look, peep down here. They tend to crack the core supports. They tend to crack right here. So make sure the core support's not all cracked and stuff. But yeah, that's the main things you really want to check out for. Like I said, this is my car, so I know it's in good shape, but another thing is obviously the suspension on these cars tends to wear out a lot because people drive them really hard. So make sure that the suspension's not all clunky and stuff. The inner tie rods, the suspension, all of that stuff wears out. So when you drive it, make sure there's no looseness in your steering wheel. If there is, then you might have some suspension work to do. But I think that's pretty much it for the inspection of your basic G35. Obviously, take it for a drive. Make sure you get it up to temperature. After you get it up to temperature, pop the hood. Make sure that you don't hear bubbling from the coolant reservoir or the coolant. That could indicate a blown head gasket. These things do occasionally have blown head gaskets. Yeah, so also a lot of these breather hoses crack very, very frequently. Especially if you're doing valve covers, these will disintegrate. So most likely you'll see aftermarket hoses for these vacuum hoses here. So yeah, make sure that all that is replaced. Also, another thing is a very common thing for people to do is to put a plenum spacer on this. This right here is a plenum spacer. It gives the car a little bit more power, but just peep in here, see if it's, you know, if there's no spacer or if there is a spacer. If there's a spacer, it could indicate the car has been modified. Obviously this car has been modified. Yeah, so you can peep, see if it has original headers or not. This one, those are aftermarket headers. So just peep down there. I mean, see if it has the original intake. This is an aftermarket intake. You can get an idea of if the car has been messed with or tampered with. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to check, see if your G35 is in good mechanical condition. Anyways, thanks for watching.